You are listening to True Crime Twins, a true crime podcast hosted by Chloe and Melina Canter. True Crime Twins is produced by Crawlspace Media. Today, we are introducing a case that maybe you heard of, maybe you haven't. I hope you have. It's the unsolved disappearance of Sofia McKenna of Connecticut.
I actually did not know about this case until like a few months ago when we were at the Mystic Aquarium in Connecticut, which is nearby where Sofia went missing. Chloe showed me her picture because she was reminded of the case since we were in the area and it happened to be like an anniversary at the same time. And she showed me a picture of her and I did not know who she was. And that surprised me because I feel like I'm pretty much like all over the missing people. Like I'm not a name person, but I'm a face person. I didn't know her face, but then I read her story and I was just like, I kind of didn't really know what to think for a while. I couldn't stop thinking about it for days.
Sofia McKenna was born July 3rd, 1996, and was raised in North Stonington, Connecticut. North Stonington is located on the southeastern part of the state. It's right on the Rhode Island border. It's close to the Mohegan Sun Casino, which is a very popular casino. People travel from all around the eastern seaboard to go.
And Mystic Aquarium.
Yes, that's another popular destination. So Sofia grew up in North Stonington. She, at this time, was 21 years old. The year is 2018. She is a massage therapist at a spa called the Red Door. She works with her friend named Spencer. I'm not exactly clear on what he did at that spa, but he had a job there. Spencer Mugford also had the job of taking people out to go fishing for the day. He was an experienced boater and fisher, and Sofia had gone fishing with him in the past.
He has an Instagram that is actually still visible, and it's like all fishing pictures. Like they're all like pictures of him holding huge fish. So yeah, so that was definitely like his thing.
Spencer and Sofia both, I think, were adventurous, fun-loving people. I believe there's an anecdote of them getting kicked out of Mohegan Sun because he wasn't quite 21 yet. Sofia was.
Okay, so he was 20 and she was 21.
Yes.
And don't they have the same birthday?
Yep.
Sofia and Spencer?
Yeah, they have the same birthday, July 3rd, which is pretty amazing. So these two are close friends, but Spencer is not Sofia's boyfriend. Sofia is dating a man named Austin Pero. He has been her boyfriend since, I believe he was 14. She was 15 years old, starting dating in high school.
She likes younger guys. No, I'm just kidding. Go on.
Nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
So yeah, Sofia, has Austin in her life. She has Spencer in her life. She goes missing with Spencer. This occurs on Memorial Day weekend on May 27th. The pair took out a boat and sailed off to find an old, reportedly haunted lighthouse.
Like nighttime, right? Like early morning hours.
Yeah, I think it was about 2 a.m. And
so the lighthouse is like the only source of light. It's dark out.
This lighthouse,
that's scary.
Yeah, this lighthouse is called Ledge Light. It's infamous for allegedly being haunted. It's a popular site, and you're not supposed to trespass, but it's a destination for the adventurous, urban exploration.
But like during the daytime and like with proper boating equipment.
Yeah, like you and I, we would explore, like there was an abandoned psychiatric hospital close to us where we grew up, and we would go in and explore. And
oh, definitely. I'm into that.
It was exciting and it was fun. So I understand what they were doing.
For sure. Same.
But what they were doing was, I think, a couple levels more dangerous because, starting off with illegal activity, they took a boat from the UConn Avery Point campus without permission. And there's been a couple of reports of what kind of boat it was.
Confusion.
Yeah. And I'm not very knowledgeable about boating, but it's some reports have said that it's a sunfish. I've also read 14-foot sailboat, and there was no mast. The boat that they took, it's a very thin boat. On Spencer's Snapchat that night, there's footage that was assuming to have been recorded by Sophia.
Must have been.
Because it's, someone else is recording, she's behind him, and it shows him paddling on this very skinny boat, and he's straddling it. And
like out in the abyss. It just freaks me out. This, like, I keep coming back to that. It's like, it's dark and you're like in the open sea. Yeah,
there's dark waters.
Like, that's so scary, dude.
Yeah. But they
were having fun. I don't,
Yeah.
Whatever.
Alcohol might have been involved.
No, I could maybe I'm acting so scared like this because, like, I feel like that's something I totally could have done when I was like 19, 20.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And like, I think that I was kind of more on the tame side of adolescence. And I do kind of consider a 21-year-old and a 20-year-old kind of at the end of their adolescence. People that young still don't quite act like adults yet.
No, because they're still very, I was very just like, I didn't have the regard for and respect for myself that I do now, let's say. So it's like, you're just more reckless and like,
or for the rules. And
rules.
You don't think anything bad can happen to you. So they take this boat. According to photograph evidence from Snapchat, Spencer had posted a picture to his stories of Sophia standing in front of the Ledge Lighthouse. So they apparently arrived safely. She's standing in front of a no trespassing sign with her tongue out. Sophia has long black hair. She was an occasional model, very striking in appearance, blue eyes, 5'9", skinny build. She was last seen
very, very pretty. Like she wowed me, so to speak. See, I can't even talk.
It's okay. So yes, so Sophia, she was known to be, a very beautiful woman. Like I said, she did dabble into some modeling, but massage therapy was really her focus. According to something written by her family, she also had aspirations to go to nursing school.
Yes, which obviously love.
Yeah. So Sophia's, that's kind of the last trace of Sophia, that picture posted on Snapchat, which was, in the early morning hours.
She left her phone in her car back at UConn. So they were just using Spencer's phone, just for reference. Like, she was using his phone to take a picture of him, and then he took the phone back and took the picture of her, same Snapchat.
Correct. And this becomes significant because not 5 minutes after that picture of Sophia with her tongue out,
at like 2 a.m. or something.
Yeah, around 2 a.m. 5 minutes later, she starts erratically calling her mother. And we know that it was Sophia calling because it was with Spencer's phone, and she's not in his contact list. Spencer doesn't know Sophia's mom well enough to have her number, but every, kid memorizes their home number, girls memorize their mom's phone numbers.
Or she could have told somebody what the number was, but then why would it's more plausible that she was making the calls, but go on.
There was 8 calls in a row,
like one after the other.
Yeah, like very
frantic.
I picture a frantic person. So it's
so why would you do that? Why would you call your mom so many times? Like you need her for something.
It sounds like an emergency was occurring. And unfortunately, this is the last trace of Sophia. There's the picture, the 8 phone calls to her mother. And unfortunately, her mom was sleeping and she didn't discover those calls until the next day.
Yeah. So who knows what would have happened. And I think that's something that really haunts her. And it's so sad because, you can't blame her. She was sleeping.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Sophia is the oldest of 2 siblings. She is the daughter of Michelle Smith McKenna. And she has a brother, Justin, and a younger sister, Gracie. Gracie was 6.
And they were like super close.
Yeah. So that's, another tragic element of that is, this little girl kind of lost her best friend because that's how they were described, as so close, just best friends.
So the last trace of either of them was the phone calls. And then that's the last trace of both of them. And like the next day they were reported missing. But what evidence do we know of was left behind on in the lighthouse? I don't know, and you go inside it or you just like go on the outside of it. I don't know. I've never been to an abandoned haunted lighthouse, so I'm just trying to picture it. Probably outside structure.
Yeah, I think you can go inside and explore,
okay.
But I think people mostly hang out outside around, maybe go up. I've never been there. I'd love to check it out at some point.
Me too, honestly, during the daytime.
Yeah, we'll go.
Sober.
Yeah, we're just being presumptuous there. It's unknown.
No, I'm just saying that I should be sober because or else I won't take it seriously. I'll just be like,
oh, you weren't making a comment about Sophia's
no, because we don't know if she was.
Yeah.
We don't know if they were drinking. Like, I think both of them did drink. But yeah, there's really no proof. Like, I guess she kind of looked drunk in the picture, which is like, but I don't know, no proof.
Listeners can't see it, but when she said like, she stuck out her tongue and I think flashed a peace sign, but I don't think
she did peace sign. That's just my pose, but she did stick her tongue out, and it looked like she was like laughing. Like and the caption to the Snapchat was like the crying, laughing emoji. So it looked like they were having a grand old time. But then all of a sudden, it becomes possibly an emergency when Sofia is frantically calling her mother.
Sofia left no voicemail messages, and the last call was at 2:09 a.m.
2:09 a.m. Okay, so did we talk about what was left on the lighthouse again? We went off a tangent there. So what was left? What evidence was left?
I mean, the boat was gone. The two boaters were gone. Spencer and Sofia are gone. There have been some reports that Spencer's shoe with his t-shirt tied around it was found,
like a cleat.
Yeah, at some point in the vicinity of the lighthouse, and some have speculated that this was his attempt to anchor the boat.
And he was presumably like experienced with boats, but we don't know much about them. But it seems to me that like if the water turned crazy and like there was a storm or something, rapid winds, like that boat not well prepared.
Well,
even for an experienced boater,
a sneaker is not that heavy. I don't think it would have done anything in rocky waters.
Right. It was just, they were ill prepared. It was like when I climbed the mountain and I was wearing jeggings and basketball sneakers. I was unprepared.
Yeah. And my lack of, certainty about these facts is mostly because law enforcement has hardly like come out to say anything about the case. Like, I don't think too much is like, they haven't made too many press conferences. It's kind of, the tone is that she's presumed dead at sea.
So, or lost at sea or injured, missing. Yeah.
Yes. So they haven't said much. So a lot of this is just, media and information directly from the family.
Yeah. Like on the Facebook group.
Yeah. And someone had found a picture taken in, I guess there was like a Ledge Light Facebook group where people talk about the legends and visiting. And in the background of one of the pictures, there was a gray sweatshirt that looked very similar to what Sofia was last seen wearing, like hung over. So we'll never know if that was related, because I don't think that Ledge Light was established a crime scene when they were discovered missing, which wasn't until that next afternoon.
Yeah.
When Sofia's mom discovered the missed calls. The younger daughter had been playing with her phone and she didn't notice. Sofia's boyfriend had told media that he assumed that she was still sleeping, because sometimes she liked to sleep in, and he wasn't concerned.
I think that was her schedule. I think she was probably an evening person.
Yeah, so he wasn't really concerned until the afternoon. So that's when the alarm bells went off. Spencer also missed an important family event that they knew he would never miss. So that's when the search began. Ledge Light was not established a crime scene. So to answer your question, maybe some clothes, but what really I think is the more important conversation is that they weren't dressed properly. It is early summer, but it's nighttime. So it's probably—
And it's windy, you're on the water.
Yeah, so it's in the 60s.
And you can get wet.
Right. And Spencer is just wearing a tank top.
Yeah,
and shorts.
Like legit, like beach clothes.
Yeah, Sofia looked like the sweatshirt she was wearing looked lightweight, but I think both of them should have had, life jackets, more layers, the whole thing.
It looked to me like her hair could have been like blowing in the wind a little bit in the picture.
Yes.
Like it didn't just look like damp air. I was like, man, like being there, like probably kind of bleak, and like you're not prepared for it. Like sometimes being out at sea can be unpredictable.
Right. And people are quickly out of their element.
Mm-hmm.
We've talked about that a lot on various Crawlspace episodes. You don't realize the situation that you're about to get into. Melina and I climbed Mount Jackson in the White Mountains. And, as hikers in that area know, when you keep going higher and higher, the weather conditions can become extremely unpredictable. And I very thankfully had an extra, rain jacket, like an emergency rain jacket in my hiking pack, and Melina didn't have one.
I didn't have anything.
And she would have frozen. It would have been a really bad situation. So it's like anything can happen. A lot of people can become quickly out of their element. And I think that was certainly the case here. And now a quick word from our sponsors. Thanks for listening to our sponsors. Now back to the show. So they start the search. There was a 23-hour search. The following day, they found the boat upside down on Truman Beach, New York, which is on the other side of the Long Island Sound, which connects to the Atlantic Ocean. They assumed that this was the boat that they took. There are some photographs of the boat, which include a broken paddle inside the upside down boat.
It's really strange to me that like there's some controversy about whether or not that's the boat. Like, what?
It would be nice if the police could come
Be
out,
like, yes, that's the boat.
you're right, and confirm a few details.
Like somebody who, if you're a boating expert, DM us.
11 days after the disappearance, Spencer's body was found on June 8th, 2018. He was floating nearly 2.5 miles from Ledge Light. They haven't released like any autopsy or cause of death, but
They said he was found floating in the water.
yeah, so people
Presumed drowned.
Correct.
Sorry for interrupting.
That's okay. So Spencer's found. They're doing this massive search, and 2 other missing boaters from the past that had nothing to do with this case were also found, but Sofia never was.
But I think that it's extremely easy to jump to the conclusion that she too is gone and her body just hasn't been discovered yet. Like it kind of seemed like that seems like the most likely, I guess, to some people, but not to me. Well, it was, I think, for both of us, but then kind of started to look more into it. And I noticed that in some of like the press that was done when Sofia initially disappeared, Austin Pero, her boyfriend, and her mother were like talking to the news together, and he was referred to as her current boyfriend. But then I did a little digging and saw, and this is all public on, like, you can look it up, like, I'm not, no privacy violations, but a few weeks before the disappearance, he like was arrested because of a domestic violence situation, which apparently wasn't that uncommon between the 2 of them. So that made me think maybe it's not so cut and dry.
It's true that Sofia and Austin had a cycle of domestic violence in their relationship. Like you just said, in the same month that Sofia went missing, Austin was arrested, and
he was scary. She was inside her house with some guys. I don't think it was Spencer. But it's not confirmed who it was. But he was like trying to get in, and he literally threatened to like slit her throat. And like when she thought the coast was clear, she opens the door and he's like hiding, and he tries to like jump back in. And when the cops came, she told them that he had gotten her hospitalized before.
Yeah, he had injured her to the point that she had to go to the hospital. This detail was confirmed by her mother. She and I had spoken about various, questions about this case. The charges were dropped when Sofia went missing, but the incident, obviously to anybody, is very disconcerting. Sofia told the police that she was afraid that Austin might kill her. Austin had also posted a few things.
Oh, and she referred to him as her ex-boyfriend, by the way, in the police report.
Right, but they had apparently gotten back together.
They must have, yeah.
So Austin had posted a few things on Facebook, which included that he, wanted to clarify that Spencer wasn't Sofia's boyfriend. Like he really wanted people to know that that was not the case. This is the quote. "Out of respect for Sofia, please don't say they were boyfriend and girlfriend. Sofia told him many times she wanted to be friends and nothing more. I have been her boyfriend for over 4 years now, and the only reason why they hung out that night is because I told her it was okay. Thanks."
So much wrong with that already.
Yeah, let's unpack this.
So out of respect for Sofia, I think more out of respect for me, because you're making me emasculated by implying that Sofia and Spencer were boyfriend, girlfriend.
Yeah, how does it disrespect Sofia to say someone else is her boyfriend?
But everybody,
I'll
tell you why, because there's this narrative that I see on the Facebook page. They're like, oh, but she loved him to death. Like, oh, but she loved him so much. I'm like, I don't care.
Yeah, why does that matter? Like in the grand scheme of things, like obviously it matters to the individuals that
but
involved.
It's like a part of the cycle. And apparently it was mutual, but I don't really care because Austin is like huge and like could crush you with like his thumb.
Yeah, Austin reportedly,
not condoning violence,
was using steroids. He had a very muscular physique. Sofia was tall and probably fit, but I don't think she possibly could have been any match for Austin. So even if she was yelling or being violent, and I'm not excusing domestic violence on the part of a woman ever, but in that dynamic, I think that she certainly had more of a fear for her life, especially because she's, we've only seen reports of her getting hurt. But her mom did confirm that Sofia had slightly injured him in the past and that she'd had some unstable moods and had been taking medication for it. And when she wasn't on her medication, would be more angry, be more insecure was the word that her mom used.
Probably more paranoid. That's what happens sometimes when, your mental health isn't being treated properly at that moment.
Yeah.
So maybe not insecure.
But, so Austin's not the one that's missing. Sophia's missing. So it's like, I don't even think we should even be caring. I in the grand scheme of things, yes, it's important that if it was mutual, she shouldn't have been hitting another person. Like, just
I'm trying to say that it doesn't
keeping
matter.
it. But in this situation, in her disappearance, her hurting her, hitting him back, if there was a domestic violence dispute or situation, that has no bearing on her disappearance. It would have some bearing on his disappearance.
Correct. Exactly. Yeah, because we're not talking about how he's being victimized. We're talking about how she was victimized.
Correct. And in domestic violence situations, the most dangerous time is when you try to leave or you do leave.
And she's like with another guy. And we didn't finish unpacking that statement, by the way. He, out of respect for me, not Sophia, and he said, they only hung out because I said it was okay. I told her that it was okay. I have been her boyfriend for over 4 years now. So it's very possessive and controlling. Like the only reason, it's like he's trying to exert control over the situation. I definitely had no control over. I bet he was fucking pissed.
Michelle, Sophia's mom, said to me, quote, Sophia would want everyone to know that she didn't need Austin's permission to do things. I'm confident it's a two-way street. The bottom line is that Sophia loves Austin with all of her heart, regardless of the situation. Spencer was not her boyfriend, and Austin knew that they were friends. Austin wasn't threatened by that. So
it kind of seems like he was threatened by that, just from that message alone.
Right. From that comment alone, he was insecure about people thinking that Spencer was her boyfriend. I think that Sophia's mom is in this intense state of grief that I can't and hope to never even possibly imagine. And she's not suspicious of Austin. She's defending Austin. And
she has defended him. Yeah.
And she just said that Austin absolutely loved Sophia, even though she knew that he had sent her to the hospital with injuries. Right. When she needed someone, Austin may have been supportive to Sophia's mother. But she did say that, Sophia would never ask or need someone else's permission to do anything, which is just, kind of interesting when unpacking the statement made by Austin.
Yeah. But I'm glad that she said that, like that's some defense of her. Right. So he posted the day after the disappearance was May 27th. The day after, May 28th, he posted on Facebook, quote, it's crazy. Just the day before yesterday, we were sitting on a beach talking about our next trip to LA. I love you, Sophia, and we'll miss you. And it's pictures like, cute Polaroid pictures that they took together. But that's another interesting statement because it's a day after and I will miss you. Nobody knew that Spencer was dead. They were both just missing. And you can assume it right away, but it really seems like he's kind of trying to close the book. It's like she is gone. I don't know. Is that weird to you? And I will miss you. How does he know he's never going to see her again?
That's why it's a suspicious comment. You would think that he would have some hope because, like you said, Spencer's body wasn't found yet. For all he knew, they were still on some rendezvous, but he's immediately assuming that she's dead. So what the question was, is he just being presumptuous in a situation where you'd think that someone's boyfriend would not jump to that conclusion? Or did he maybe know something that the rest of us didn't?
Yeah.
Other clues, there are some photographs of the boat in New York. It was described as kind of partially dug into the sand as if it had been there for a little while, even though it was discovered the next day. There were some comments on the Facebook page centered around Sophia's disappearance made by her aunt to say they spent several hours looking for Spencer's car before they pinged Spencer's phone to his last known place. If that was my boyfriend and I allowed him to go, then I couldn't get there quick enough with the police. Just saying. So she was saying
that's her aunt.
That's her aunt. So this woman is saying that she thought that this was incongruent with what, Austin's behavior was. If he allowed them to go there, then wouldn't he be alarmed very quickly the next day when there was no word? I guess he said he assumed that she was sleeping in.
Maybe he was blocked on Snapchat. That's actually something I wish that I knew.
Was whether or not,
well, I don't know. Did he follow Spencer on Snapchat? Was he getting even if he doesn't have the Snapchat I sound like an old person. He didn't have the Snapchat. Somebody could have showed it to him. Small world.
Easily. The aunt also said, unfortunately, Sofia lived in a cycle of domestic violence relationship. I made Groton police aware from day one that everyone needed to be checked out. I sent them texts between my niece and myself, pictures and my concerns, and they did nothing with them.
Yeah, he's not under suspicion by them.
By the police or by, this aunt sounds a little bit, suspicious to say the least, by sending the pictures. And we can only speculate if she's talking about pictures in regards to domestic violence, that it's pictures of injuries. So, she's making these kind of statements of suspicion. She also said that they didn't even look into his phone records or anything.
No, they didn't do it. They really just never did the due diligence about him.
So this is something that absolutely needs to be done retroactively. I don't care how much time has passed. They need to at least check it off the list and rule it out.
Yeah. I have a bad feeling that either, I think that something happened to her. I feel like she would have been found. It's highly unlikely, I feel. They found other missing voters. What I kind of picture going on is that they're on the boat. They're on the lighthouse, and the boat maybe starts to, drift away, and Austin's trying to get it. I'm sorry, I did that again. Spencer is trying to get the boat, and maybe he swims after the boat and leaves Sofia with her phone, and maybe
with his phone.
Yeah, with his phone, and maybe he doesn't come back. And then, I don't know, another boater, she could have done an SOS situation, needed help.
It was Memorial Day weekend, and even though it was 2 a.m, and in the video that Sofia had taken of Spencer paddling, I don't think anyone else was in that video that we could see out on the waters.
I think it was just them two.
But it doesn't mean that someone didn't come around later on. The fact that the boat went away and Spencer was found dead, and the fact that Sofia had made so many calls to her mother, I feel like that's a good theory. That the boat got away and he went after it and didn't come back, and she panicked, and instead of calling the police, called her mom because they had stolen the boat from Yukon, and maybe she was really afraid of getting in trouble, which I would understand.
I would have been I'm calling 911. I need to get airlifted out of here, please. But yeah, I get it.
The next question is, did the phone die shortly thereafter? Did she try to call anybody else? That's all unclear.
But maybe Spencer didn't go after the boat. Maybe the boat went away, and then somebody did something to both of them, because we still don't know how Spencer died.
That's possible too. If Spencer did leave and not come back and Sofia was staying there alone, I guess it's possible that she could have tripped and fallen into the water, or maybe she thought that she could go and rescue him. There's so many different scenarios, but I don't think that simply because they were boating and she's missing, that it should be assumed that she died in an accidental drowning. I think that there's way too much more to this case to just completely write anything off at this point.
Agreed.